I am Pumsquatch, hello, and welcome back to something that's a little bit different on the channel. A little bit different because we're leaning more towards an ASMR kind of style for this one. So with that in mind, we're going to move on to what's really going on. As of today, June 22nd, Mixer is closing down permanently and indefinitely in the very near future, within actually a couple days here. At least, I believe that's what's going to be going on. I think that's what they announced. And with that, they're going to be merging with Facebook Gaming. Darn these fireworks. But what does that mean for the people that they have partnered and big names that they made contracts with, such as Ninja and Shroud? Well, those partnerships and contracts will actually move over to the new Facebook Gaming section. For people who are partnered in other ways other than contracts, they too can move over to Facebook Gaming should they so desire. And that is kind of what's going to be going on. The major reason for this is the low viewer rate, because while Twitch was pulling in numbers in the billions, Mixer was pulling in numbers that was in the, millions, couple millions, and it's a pretty big shame because the Mixer as a platform, they had a very big amount of potential that they could probably manage to pull out of something with Mixer, because the main draw for streaming is the interactivity that a lot of people that they get with the audience, and that the audience gets with the streamer. And Mixers seem to have that especially well, because for games such as Minecraft, people who were watching, if they were dedicated watchers, they could use PowerPoints, or I forgot what they were called actually, to be honest. It's been such a long time I've even been on Mixer, but they could use this kind of points that were awarded to people that kept watching, and you can affect how the streamer played in game, or things that happened to him in game. For example, if they had the ability to connect it to their Minecraft world while they were playing Minecraft, you could spawn in a bunch of pigs, and you could just affect their world. You could spawn in pigs, animals, and you could change things in their world. Of course, it wasn't just that easy. You had to set it up, I believe. But even then, it was very interesting. It was a really cool way that the audience could interact with the streamer. As a result, it was something that you would think would be advertised a lot more. But there's one issue with that. And that is you can't implement this into games like Call of Duty. You can't implement this into competitive games like Apex Legends or Fortnite and stuff like that, where people are super competitive in these games. You just can't do that. If someone loses a game because one of their fans decided to affect it in some way, then they are going to be the ones that are going to suffer, the streamer. And so it's very difficult to implement something like that into a whole slew of popular games, especially since a lot of really popular games are online games. So it was a really cool idea. It's just how they implemented it cannot be done very well. On paper, it looked really cool. In execution, didn't go so well. As a result, they had nothing that made them stand out from the biggest streaming platform in the world, the big streaming platform in the world, which is Twitch and YouTube. I mean, heck, in comparison to something like YouTube, they were getting a minuscule amount of viewership, and it's kind of sad because YouTube's own, their own streaming abilities, or whatever, I forgot. Basically, their encoder, their ability to stream, it's not great. It's actually kind of poor, and it's actually kind of bad. So the main reason that YouTube is doing so much better is that it's primarily a video sharing platform that later turned into a streaming platform that gave more options to content creators, which it's good to do these things, it's good. But it doesn't mean that it's going to be top dog. I mean, just because you have a great idea, it doesn't mean it's going to be 100% a hit. You'll also need to execute it well and implement it right into the platform. And because of that, they suffered, and their growth was extremely minuscule. The streamers that they bought, or the streamers that they made contracts with, their viewership absolutely tanked. Ninja, the most famous streamer in the world, so famous that he was being partnered to do commercials for cell phones, was pulling in viewership of only a couple thousand. Yeah, it got bad. So As a result, they decided to just go ahead and shut it down. But they are going to be merging with Facebook Gaming. Facebook, I'm personally not a fan of streaming on Facebook. I've never done it before, but the things I've heard and the things I've seen and known about when it comes to Facebook Gaming, I'm not comfortable with, so I full on don't want to. Me, as someone who personally tried streaming on Mixer, it was an interesting ordeal. It was fun, it was fine, but it had nothing to set it apart. Twitch is the biggest streaming platform in the world. YouTube is primarily a video sharing website, so you could save your streams and just have them stay on the channel as regular VODs. As for Mixer, well, you had that whole idea of you can interact with the streamer's game personally or directly. That's all I had, and it wasn't implemented very much so, because not many competitive players of games, or not very many competitive gamers, wants to have their games screwed up because a viewer decided it'd be really cool to just, oh, I'm gonna give the enemy team plus 50% cooldown reduction, and it's very hard. It's very hard to do that. I feel like if they somehow figure out a way to partner with YouTube instead, that would probably be a much better way to both help Microsoft, the owners of Mixer, and YouTube themselves, because while you're able to stream from your Xbox to Mixer, and those are the majority of people that were streaming on Mixer, I believe that's what I would see all the time. The majority of people that were streaming on Mixer were streaming directly from their Xbox using the settings and apps, not through any sort of programs that you would find on a PC. You would find them, it's just it felt like there were so many more people streaming directly from their Xbox. So it turned into a very interesting ordeal. I really do feel like if they partnered with YouTube, that would have made it so much more interesting and so much more better, because then they would benefit from it, from partnering from the biggest website in the world behind Google, and Google owns YouTube, so that's even more amazing, I guess. But I feel like people who watch streams on YouTube would have a much better reason to watch those streams, because the interactivity. YouTube is a video sharing platform, and it seems like their streaming side is severely lacking in something, and what Mixer has, if they partner with YouTube and move that over to YouTube streaming or YouTube gaming in some sort of way, that would be great. Because on Twitch, you have the super chats and you have the bits, but on YouTube, you don't have anything like that. At least to my knowledge, there's nothing like that on YouTube. You could become a member of the channel, and even then, it's not a whole lot. Doing this would definitely give them a much better way to stand out. And I know that Facebook kind of did this behind the scenes with Mixer, because if you put this out there, then a whole bunch of people would try to be making bids to get Mixer, even though it wasn't successful. It kind of failed and flopped. It wasn't bad. It had potential, but that potential was not used properly. It wasn't bad. Mixer was not a horrible site. It just didn't do much to stand out, and that's a shame. It wasn't a bad site. If anything, it was a really cool and ambitious site, but ambition doesn't mean it's going to work. You need to implement things and make sure you stand out as well as possible to be as memorable as possible. So, with all regards, as somebody who used to stream on Mixer, or tried to stream on Mixer for a while, amongst the two other sites that I would stream on, it's a bit sad to see it go. So, yeah, it's a shame. Those are my thoughts, though. Thank you all very much for watching. Really do appreciate it. Hope this video was a bit enjoyable for you. If it was, feel free to leave a like. Let me know. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you have a good day, good night. And as always, guys, I am Pumpsquatch. Goodbye.